BYU basketball, an incredible performance last night, 109-81 winners over Eastern Washington. And that's exactly what BYU is expected to do in this game. But I got to give credit to Eastern Washington. They play with an incredible amount of poise and confidence for a team that is now 2-11 on the year. Dan Monson, the longtime Gonzaga and Long Beach State coach, is now trying to rebuild Eastern Washington, and he brought his team in, and they made life very difficult for BYU, especially in the first half of that game. But as the second half wore on, AJ Dybantsa, he got off to a hot start. He had 10 points in the first 5 minutes of this game. He was at 21 points at halftime. Well, he goes on in the second half to tally a 33-point, 10 rebound, 10 assist triple-double. The first 30-plus point triple-double in many, many years in NCAA football, and the first triple-double in BYU basketball history since some guy named Kyle Collinsworth was roaming the sidelines for BYU as Mr. Triple-Double for the BYU men's basketball program back in the 2010s. We're talking is it 2013, I think is the last time that KC had a triple-double. So it's been a minute, 12 years, give or take, for AJ Dybantsa put on the court last night, but he outshined essentially anybody with that 30-point triple-double. And it shows, once again, what AJ Dybantsa is absolutely capable of. He came to BYU with a bunch of accolades, and all he has done, from my vantage point, is live up to them as well as anybody with as much hype as he could muster about him would have. That's the thing about AJ is I don't think he's lost sight of the fact that he is considered to be a seminal talent. He is considered to be, if you want to use the term one of one, well, that's kind of what he is. He's a 6'9" swingman, kind of the new generation of what the NBA is looking for as a guy who can create his own shot, has the ability to take over in clutch moments, but more importantly, can dominate a basketball game in seemingly every aspect. He shot 11 of 13 from the field. That's 85%. His true shooting percentage, if you care about that, which I actually think that's more important because it takes into account your twos versus your threes, as well as other metrics. True shooting percentage of his 33-point outing was 92.5%. We're talking about, this is just a historic moment. Any of you who watched this game or were lucky enough, like myself, to be at the Marriott Center last night, got treated to a performance that we will not soon forget. Yes, he had the putback dunk the game before it against Abilene Christian. That was absolutely remarkable, an ESPN top Sports Center moment. But what he did last night, speaking of 33, 10, and 10. Oh, by the way, in addition to the fact they also tallied, I think it was two steals, as well as he had three. No, I look at this wrong. Oh, no, it was two steals. So, but regardless, his impact on the game is absolutely remarkable. And if you consider kind of the totality of the month of December for AJ, he has been a defensive force only while piling up, count them, one personal foul, which came in this game against Eastern Washington. He actually snapped a streak of almost 6.5 games without a foul called on him. And you consider how much of a menace he has been defensively. That shows how clean that he has been playing this season. Now, that can be a bit subjective with regards to the foul calls because obviously officials have control of what they call and the like. But I think we need to just appreciate what AJ is doing for BYU, and ranked 10th in the country. He said it himself that the floor, in his opinion, for this basketball program is the Sweet 16. This is a basketball program that has that the kind of the notoriety of appearing the most times in the NCAA tournament without a Final Four appearance. Well, if AJ Dybantsa can do what he's doing, he could lead BYU to that proverbial promised land for the first time in program history, because the guy that he's kind of tracking right up alongside, because it came for, if you looked at the Big 12 notes for this week in basketball, the only other player to have started a season with 15 points and 4 rebounds at the rate that AJ Dybantsa has done it this season was some guy named Carmelo Anthony in 2003. How did that season go for Carmelo and the Syracuse Orange? Oh, wait, a national title. He was the player of the year nationally. Carmelo went on to have an absolutely decorated Hall of Fame-worthy career, both at the international and the NBA level. And these are the type of players that AJ, with his performance, is kind of bumping up against here. It's remarkable. And I don't know if I can do it justice just how impressive it was last night because, quite frankly, AJ made it look easy. And the crazy thing was, it took a pretty incredible assist from him. He kicked it out. He was driving to the hole. He kicks out to Mihailo Boskovic, who hits a big three to give AJ that elusive 10th assist. And we were in the dying moments of that game. I think Kevin Young, had that shot not gone in from Mihailo Boskovic, he very likely gets subbed out of the game, and he comes up once again, just so close to a triple-double. But Mihailo stepped up, makes that shot, and obviously the crowd absolutely went nuts. And Rob Wright, in some ways, almost ruined it as well, because you could tell he was kind of like, hey, I'm going to keep – no, I think he heard the crowd chanting, AJ, because I think he understand the moment and say, hey, get the ball over to AJ, because Rob Wright, he's flirted with a triple-double as well this season for the BYU basketball program. But it was an incredible performance by BYU, but obviously topped by what exactly AJ did individually. BYU shot 54% from the field, made 38% of their threes, a season high 16 three-pointers made in this win over Eastern Washington. So a lot of good signs for BYU in this game as now they turn their attention to Big 12 play. Now they do have 12 days off, and BYU players have kind of scattered to the wind because they are actually have been cleared to return home or do whatever they're going to do with regards to the holidays. And they are now off until Sunday, when they will reconvene and get back into preparation mode for the Big 12 opener at Kansas State. So I am very curious to see how this team looks after a 12-day layoff leading up to that game against Kansas State. I know that guys like Kevin Young have lamented the fact that the layoffs in college basketball are just far, far too long. And I don't think he's necessarily all that keen on having 2 weeks off. But at the same time, having a young family like Kevin Young does, I think he'll enjoy the fact he's able to kind of have some downtime, enjoy the holiday, and then ramp it back up and gear back up for Big 12 play. And just one other concern I've got for BYU basketball is this game against Eastern Washington featured another kind of lackluster, slow start for BYU, especially on the defensive end of the court. I don't know what it's going to take for BYU to get off to a hot start and really kind of lock in from the get-go, but it's kind of the moniker of this team is they are truly a second-half team. They will kind of sputter and kick their way through a first half, the first 20 minutes, but then they come out in the second half and just are like, hey, let's rock and roll. I don't know what Kevin Young has to do, whatever voodoo or whatever motivational tactics he has to use to get BYU off to the start in a first half like they do seemingly in every second half they have played this year. But if they don't have better starts in Big 12 play, it's kind of my one concern coming off this game is that teams that are better teams than anybody BYU has faced in about a month now will be able to bury them early on in these games. And they'll be trying to fight uphill throughout the entirety of that contest. I think the likes of an Arizona. I even think of like what Kansas State might be able to do on their home turf. You include also Texas Tech. You include the Baylor Bears. There are some incredibly difficult teams that BYU will face, Kansas, etc., that they will face in this Big 12 slate. And if you have slow starts against those teams, that is where you're going to find yourself in trouble if you're the BYU Cougars. But once again, can I count anything that AJ Dybantsa does in terms of it being where they couldn't find a way out of those holes? No, I don't think that's necessarily out of the question, but I do wonder if there's something that Kevin Young can identify, or maybe over the next, it's roughly 2 weeks until they play against Kansas State in Manhattan. Can he figure something out where they can come out and start a lot faster? Maybe simply put, it's just the fact that they open Big 12 play and they understand, hey, now it's real. Now it's the big time. Now we're playing in the toughest conference, top to bottom in college basketball. And we're going to see what you're capable of and what you're made of. And I hope the message gets across to these guys. You got to start faster and cannot expect that the heroics of AJ Dybantsa, Richie Saunders, Rob Wright, etc., will come through and save you in the end, because there are very, very good teams, if not better teams, top to bottom, lineup-wise, that BYU will face in Big 12 play. And you give them a chance to bury you, and they will take every opportunity to do just that. So, yeah, there you go. Really impressed with AJ. Once again, just a seminal performance, incredible stuff, and congrats to him. And I look forward to seeing what he's able to follow that up with when BYU gets into Big 12 play, because this is a guy who, for the fourth time, has already been on the Big 12's Team of the Week. Speaking of kind of the top 5 guys in the Big 12 Conference on a weekly basis, how much more accolades will he pile up, and will he truly be the maybe Big 12 Freshman of the Year, Big 12 Player of the Year. All that's out there for him, but he'll have to fend off some guys like Darren Peterson, Koa Pete, etc. Because the Big 12 got some pretty downright elite freshmen and are spearheaded, or I guess led by what AJ Dybantsa is putting on the court.